Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle, and this is the Conservative Take. This is the live Friday night show, and I'm your host tonight. Normally, we have someone here as my co-host, but that won't be that way tonight. Kira has the night off, or whomever I was going to have on this show. Normally, it's been her. Actually, it's only been her for this particular show. But, we may have someone else on the show as well. But tonight, it's just going to be me, and I'm going to go over some stuff here that I thought I wanted to talk about. I mean, there's so much stuff going on right now. It's out of control. I hope everyone's had a good weekend, a week so far, and are looking forward to the week. I know I am. I'm looking to pretty much settle down and kind of get some stuff done around the house. Hopefully we can get some actual good weather, and hopefully it will be good to be outside, because as we all know, with this going on, a lot of us just stay in the house for whatever reason. Can't go anywhere, can't travel as much. So it's just been a big challenge. So that is that. So again, my name is Kyle, and this is that live Friday night show. It's a informal weekly show on Friday nights, obviously. And the point of this show is basically to go over stuff that's gone on over the week and to keep things pretty much light. But ultimately, the goal is to take the left's illogical conclusions or arguments and take them to their logical conclusions. And that's where the humor lies, right? Because I think satire and humor and sarcasm is one of the best ways to beat the left, because they don't know how to deal with that type of approach, because they think that their argument and their subjects that they advance work and are logical to them, and they're not, which is why it's so funny, which is why people like the Babylon Bee and other comedians have taken advantage of the left's ridiculousness and put it out there for everyone to see. So I have 3 segments today that I'm going to go over, and they're pretty variant, but I want to just talk about, for the most part, how wokeness or wokeism is destroying this country. And I really don't know where to start. I have some clips lined up here. I want to start with Brandon Tatum. Brandon Tatum is a former police officer. He is a Black conservative. He helped found Brexit with Candace Owens. And most of you know who this person is. We're going to see a couple of videos of him. And so, but this particular video, I have not watched in its entirety. It's about 3 minutes long. It's on his Instagram. And I want to talk about that and talk through it as he goes through. So this is totally unrehearsed. I haven't seen this particular video. I did see the first few seconds of it just to make sure it's the right video, because this was forwarded to me a little over about 2 hours ago. And I just want to talk about that. Also, I'm going to talk about the video that I put out this week, which is dealing with Black crime and how the media is lying about police officers, and how in this video I go through several articles from both sides, the left and the right, to essentially say, hey, they're not really telling us the truth, and here's why. And the narratives that they're putting forth is really not the whole picture. And that's where it gets really, really kind of slick, the way they try and put stuff out there. And also, I want to talk about a video clip that I took from Candace Owens with Brandon Tatum this week. It was a 2-hour video, and it's very, very good stuff. But there's one part in there that I want to bring up that Candace brought up. It's about a minute long. I want to talk about that particular clip, and it's something that I have not heard at all, and I think it's very profound and explains a lot, and it just helps me to understand what's going on with the left and how they are continually getting away with the stuff they're getting away with, and why they continue to want to be victims. All right, and so also, lastly, in these segments, I'm going to mix them up. I'm going to answer or respond to 3 questions that have come through over the past couple months, because I told these people who put these comments on YouTube that I would, with their permission, share it on air. And this is the first time I got a chance to do that, because we did not have a Friday night show. Well, we did have a Friday night show last time, but it was a different kind of format. If you saw that, it's like a Family Feud type of deal. There was no real place to put it. And we didn't do our Sunday show either. So this is the first time I'm able to do this. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Now, I will say this in advance. I am by myself in the production studio, and I am wearing a lot of hats. So far, so good in terms of technical difficulties. I think we're going to see how this works. So first, let me welcome everyone out here before we get started. No comments are out there. If you have a question or comment, please, by all means, put that in the comment section below. And I would try and mute myself if I drink in front of the camera. It's kind of annoying. But again, it's by myself. Yeah, so please question in the comments below. And let's kick this thing off. And hopefully this won't be a bad thing when I do this. So let's just do this. This is going to be Brandon Tatum. This is on his Instagram. And I believe it's about 3 minutes long. And I'm going to play it, and I'm going to stop it as it goes forward because there could be some copyright issues there. So as long as I stop it within a certain point and comment over it, it's a fair use legal thing, and there's no problem. Everyone's good. I don't think Brandon would sue me, but just to keep it on the up and up. To give you an idea of that, just as a side, I did a video of a friend who has her record label, and I put her music on there that she gave me permission for in paper, but YouTube still had a problem with it. So I had to take the music out, and it was demonetized. So it's weird how that stuff works. So anyway, let's go. I'm just going to cue this up, and let's see how it looks.
Frustrated I am with what's going on in our country. I'm gonna try to be as nice as I can, but some of y'all can get your feelings hurt on this video. I am incredibly sick of the behaviors of the black people in this country that I see. This military army officer, or whatever the case may be, confronted a young man that's in his community. The young man don't live there. He supposedly got into a confrontation with another lady, which the young man admitted that he was in a confrontation. The guy told him to get out of my community. You don't live here, never seen you before. You're starting trouble over here, get out of here. And now let me tell you what the Fabergé eggs of society, Jericho Green's quote, had to do. Black people got together to protest in front of this white man's house. I have never in my mother freaking life seen black people protest in front of a drug dealer house in their own community. I've never seen when they look kids.
Oh, see now. Okay. All right. So let me just stop there. So Brandon's about to go there. All right. Now I see why this was such a popular video. Okay. I don't know the context as much, but the point that he makes, the Fabergé eggs, I like that because those are the things that keep going and going and going. And the fact that black people, or people for that matter, mostly in this case, we'll just keep it to the context, protest for the silliest things, right? And I remember coming up in DC and going into work in the mornings, going through Southeast DC, Alabama Avenue, MLK, and so forth. And we're going through about 6 o'clock in the morning to get downtown to be at work by whatever time we were trying to get there, 8 o'clock, whatever. I worked at Federal Trade Commission in mailroom. And I just kept saying liquor store, pawn store, liquor store, church, liquor store. And people were out even that early in the morning drinking, right? And I always thought to myself, why is this going on here? This is in the late 80s, in the 90s. And I'm like, from that point on, it just seemed to be that the mentality just didn't seem to be there. And I think part of that is what we're seeing today. We're seeing a generation, people we're seeing now are the generation of those kids that I was looking back in the 90s and stuff. So we're seeing a whole generation that have no inkling of what's going on in the civil rights movement. And then that happened in the Black Power 90s movement, with Tribe Called Quest and Arrested Development and the Malcolm X movement and all that stuff. They're removed from that. Now they're just dealing with just entitlism and whatever. So let's keep going here. I'll play the whole thing, but because he's about to get in. I can feel he's about to get in it.
Kids get shot up in the community because Negroes doing drive-bys every weekend. I never see them in front of their house protesting, screaming, wanting justice. Black folks are the sorriest people in America. There's only a handful of us that can psychologically survive and that's woke enough to see what's going on. Why are black people so dumb? I'm embarrassed. When I walk out of my house every day, I hope to God that people don't think I'm dumb like the rest of these black people. Why are you protesting for thugs? Every time I turn around, I see mama on TV, daddy ain't there, or I see mama and daddy on TV talking about a kid that they raised that's a menace to society. You should go to prison. You shouldn't be on a press conference if you are Dante Wright's mom. You are a piece of crap. You raised a 20-year-old that's robbing people at gunpoint, going around with warrants, can't even have his registration done on his vehicle, and you on a press conference crying. You the problem. Your kid 20 and he robbing people at gunpoint, flashing guns.
See, he nailed it right there, right? Because me and Brandon are around the same age. And he understands, like that generation I was just talking about. Those guys in the 90s were, back when we wore the medallions with the African patch, and Spike Lee was really big then. And by the way, I was a Democrat then, so don't give me some slack here. But still, it was fun. It was fun. It was a fun time to be black. You had the Cosby Show going on. You had a different world. You had all kind of programming that was positive. Not so. I mean, you had the thing with just a bunch of positive type stuff coming out. Of course, you had some of your thug stuff as well, and but they all had social commentaries like Boys in the Hood, and like it was never a positive side of that particular side. It's like if you do something bad, this is going to happen to you. But today, like you were saying, these parents have no linkage to their parents, to their grandparents, to their great-grandparents. And I think that's where we're missing it. And also, I think we're missing it because there is no more great cause to really go with, and so America, we've made it. So what's going to happen? The only thing we can do now is regress and then come forward again, because you know why? Because the power structure at B wants it that way. And this feels a little longer than I was going to play here. I don't want to get copyright strike, whatever, but I'm going to maybe talk about this in another video, but this is much longer than I thought it was. This is on Brandon Tatum's Instagram, Officer Tatum Instagram. I will leave a link to this, or just go to it and just check it out for yourself. But he sets it off really well here, because I really want to talk more about this, because my next question here actually kind of relates to this. So let me see if I can pull this up. I'm going to try and pull this question up here. Give me a second, and I will share my screen. So I want question number 1. I'm going to talk out loud to you guys so you don't. All right, let's do this. Let's move this let's open it with. All right, let's do that. All right, cool. That's good. Now let's share that. Application window. All right, let's try this. All right. So if you can see that, I'm going to read on the screen if you can't see it. This is from a gentleman by the name of MEZU. He says, thanks for the video, Kyle. By the way, this is for the Cardi B video, the one a few weeks ago with Candace Owens, and it was Candace Owens and Cardi B that kind of went at it in round 2. This was dealing with the whole thing with the Grammys. He says, thanks for the video, Kyle. Keep up the great work. I want to add a comment because I think it's important, although maybe not entirely relevant to the feud, Cardi B. Relentlessly attacking Candace on her marriage to a white man isn't complete nonsense, since we don't acknowledge interracial marriage at all in our society. Do I think she was making the comment as to intellectualize the subject matter for further thought? No, but here it goes. If people want to talk about race, I think they need to understand what it is and the biological differences. All right, so that's interesting. All right, so I think what he's saying is basically, because we haven't really defined race in our society, that he gives her the benefit of the doubt to kind of attack that. Now, personally, there is no, well, not personally, scientifically speaking, there is nothing called race. I mean, if you can look up a scientific definition for race, there isn't really one, okay? What race essentially is perception based on physical appearance. If you look at it from a scientific standpoint, you're looking at about 7 or 8 chromosomes on the DNA. Size of your nose here, a muscle here in your eyes, your skin color, obviously, that's probably the most important thing, hair. But you've seen people out there who kind of have a trait here and a trait there, and you're not sure what they are, because their skin may be whatever, maybe just like in a teetering between brown and kind of, tan or beige. And really, I think there's 2 forms of melanin, one, but they're all essentially brown. So essentially, we're all really just different shades of brown when you really want to come down to it. So I think his point here is valid, but I think it comes down to essentially the lie that we are separate, that we're not human beings, that we can't be brothers and sisters. In fact, I was going to prep a video clip from a Facebook post that I was sent to me today about a black woman who was scared that her 15-year-old son, who is obviously black, has some white girls who are actually infatuated with him and want to date him. And she's reaching out to this mother's group on Facebook saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe that my son has these two white women that like him and so forth. And what am I going to do? I'm so scared. I'm so scared living in society like this. And I would have to say that this person has to be genuine in her approach, which is what's sad. I would rather her think that she was being just, dishonest and just making it up. But I think people really believe this. And I think what's happening is that we're fearing one another. And what my wife was saying was, and I agree with this, is that this whole Black Lives Matter situation where we're separating everyone together by race and we're looking at people who they are based on their skin tone, that they're inherently evil because of their skin tone. There's nothing that they can do. They're irredeemable. And if you don't believe me, go look at the 1619 Project, okay? Go look at this cultural diversity training that they have coming up here that they're trying to put into schools. It deals with the fact that they feel that white America and America in general is evil to its core and cannot be changed. The only way to change it is to tear it down and build it back up. I did a video on this. I'll leave a link to that as well. And so when you have that kind of mentality, obviously, this is what's going to come out. And so that's why I want to stand arms with people like Brandon Tatum and Joel Patrick and Candace Owens and even I still put Kingface there, even though he's passed on. His legacy, his videos are still there, and his truth is still there. What he said was absolutely true. People like that, locking arms with these voices, even the old school, like Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell, these people are the ones we need to come together with, as well as other white Americans, to help change that. But I think what's hard is white America can't say anything about it because they'll be deemed as a racist. So it really comes down to the black conservative to really be fearless and go ahead and do it, because the most they can call us is a sellout or Uncle Tom, which I get that pretty much on a monthly basis. So that was a good question, and we can talk about that more. I don't want to get too much into that, but that was a really good question, and I think it just really shows where we're going, and somebody very quickly needs to put a break on this, very, very quickly. All right, so let me show you this. I'm going to bring this up here on the screen. I'm not going to share the screen. I'm just going to show it. This is the end of our first segment, and what it is a campaign that we've done. This campaign has to do with Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter and Police Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matters and all this. And we were just talking about this with my wife and someone else. And I said, you know what? It's like, because I think it came from that situation we had the Asians were being attacked and so forth. And so there was like Asian Lives Matter and so forth. So I said, you know what? What if we just made a T-shirt that had every single letter in the alphabet prefaced by with the suffix of LM? And what would happen? Because that way no one could have a problem with that. ALM would be at the top because ALM would be all lives, but then you have all the others below it, and then at the bottom you have All Lives Matter. And so the design is this. You can see, I guess you can see that. And this design is going to be on our T-shirts that we have. That's right now online. If you go to theconservativetake.com and go to store on our webpage, and we have right now we have T-shirts, some hoodies, and so forth. And I'll get a sample. I'll start wearing it, but I just put it out there about 3 days ago, and I guess this really is the official launch of that. So go check it out. It helps support the channel. And with that being said, I'm going to put up some banners here of some people that help support this channel. These people scrolling below are the ones who actually support this channel on a monthly basis. Thank you so much for what you do. You really inspire me, and your support, your emails, and whatever. I love you guys so much. I love everybody for coming on, regardless of whether you pay or not, or whether you if you share a video or just watch a video. I don't care what your point of participation is on this channel. If you just pray for me, that's all I need and care. But if you want to go beyond any of that, the more the better, of course. And so I do a weekly member show on the VIP section of the website. So on the YouTube channel. And so I will do another one. I did do one this week. Sorry, I'll do it maybe after this. And just show appreciation for those who are taking part in that. So the join button on our YouTube channel, hit that and you can tell you more about that. All right, so let's go to the next segment here. And I want to show this video here. This is with Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum. They're actually, hold on, I've got some questions here. Let me pull some questions up here quickly before I go on. Sorry. Okay, hi, Mark. How are you doing? I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much. Going pretty well. Jimmy77 says, okay, I'll put this up on the screen here. Thank you, Jimmy. I really appreciate that. Dude, man, I mean, you know, it does wear on you eventually. And some things I get are just horrible. I mean, I would even put them on the screen. They really are horrible. But I think at the end of the day, I can't take it personally because they don't really know me. And first of all, they don't know my background. I mean, I was a hardcore Democrat, leftist, you know, Black Lives Matter before Black Lives Matter was there. So they don't understand that, and they don't understand my transformation in terms of finding it out. I'm a different person now, but I'm a different person that's actually focused on what's actually true. My worldview has been radically changed, and when you do that, you act differently. When you have your values and your interests and your principles change, your behavior and everything about you will also change. When it becomes more in line with your spiritual belief system, which to me is the Bible, to me, it really, really helps and makes me feel way more free than I ever was before, because I'm always wondering, well, if this is true, then why isn't this true? And it was always conflicting. You're always feeling like, am I a victim? Am I not a victim? Why? And you get mad. You can't articulate things, but you know this makes sense in your mind. It's a horrible place to be. These people are in a horrible place. And it's like, so people like anyone who gives any kind of knowledge, it helps to unlock that and helps free that mind so they can actually live their lives without worrying about, are they a sellout? So thank you so much for that. Okay. All right, so let me show you this video here. This one here, I got to cue this up. I'm probably going to mess this up. Let me try anyway. Let me move the studio here. I'm going to talk out loud, guys. If I talk out loud, I won't mess up. I'm going to hit share, and I'm going to do video file, and I'm going to go to Brandon in Kansas. All right, here we go. Click this up and we'll see.
You want to be. There's a young lady walked up to a mic and she was saying, well, my mama's on crack and all of this, and like I don't have opportunities. And I said, look.
All right, let me first preface it. Okay, so Brandon Tatum was talking about he went to a I guess it was a Blexit. No, this was not Blexit. This was Turning Point. He went to a Turning Point event. He said that there was about 400 people that were supposed to, no, there was 15 people that were supposed to be there. Ended up being 400 people there or more than that. And so he was talking to this lady, young lady, who's a student at the school. I think it was Radford College or whatever. I'm not sure where it was. So anyway, she said that she was a victim. She couldn't get ahead. She said, you know, I'm a scholarship track student and blah, 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 blah. I got 2 jobs. I still can't do anything. So he's saying, dude, you can be wherever you want. You can be whatever you want. And this is where we're coming in here.
Look, young lady, you on full scholarship right now at Rider University to run track. You are off to a good start. You have been put in a trajectory that's greater than what your mom has done. Now finish the race and do well. Start the next generation. And then she go, well, I can't get a job because, you know, what if I go to a job and they don't hire me because I'm black? And I said, young lady, don't put the cart before the horse. Like, go to the job, perform well, and then see how it works out. If they discriminate against you, then you handle it. But don't be afraid. Then she turned around and say, well, I got 2 jobs. I'm like, well, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to say you're gonna fail and you ain't never gonna be crap? And you're a dumb Negro and the white man is always. And then when I tell her,
she does want you to say that.
I can tell her you could be whatever you want, and they booed me. The whole 400 people booed me.
Right. Because they.
All right, now I stop it here because this is where Candace Owens drops the bomb. And this is why I want to show this clip, because I have never heard this before, and it really like opened my whole mind to this reality. And it's really sad. It kind of touched on what I just talked about before, but check this out.
They need, and the reason for that is because they need to believe in the victim narrative. Like they think that it sustains them somehow because it gives them attention. So they are willing to compromise their entire futures for a little bit of false attention. And I say false attention because her standing up there saying, I'm never going to be nothing. I used to have a friend, Devin, who used to say to me, if you believe that you can't, you won't. It's that easy. If you believe that you can't, you won't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, if you believe that you cannot do something, you're in your own way, you know? So you got all these kids who are in their own way. So if she's up here trying to argue her own oppression, well, then by God, she is oppressed, but she's her own oppressor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, so I have to agree with these kids. They tell me they're oppressed. I have to agree, because if you've already convinced yourself of that mentality, you're your own oppressor. I see your oppressor right in front of me. It's you, you know? So it's like, and it's sad, of course, because, you know, I so want to believe that every person is capable of just thinking, right? Of realizing that the entire system right now is trying to turn you into an ideological slave, into an emotional slave, right? To view yourself as less than. You think you're less than, you are less than, right? It's that easy, you know? You think you can, you will. You believe that you're more, you will be more, right? It's that simple. So you can't, you can hope that you can try to change a mentality, but you know, we have to expect that a lot of these kids are facing an uphill battle because they have an education system that is psychologically conditioning them to not believe in themselves.
Good, right? I mean, I was like, wow, Candace, that chick, man, she's off the charts, man. And just give her a plug. I think her book is about to hit close to 1 million, maybe 500,000, maybe. Her book is awesome, by the way. I predicted, I'm giving myself a little bit of credit here. When I read her book the first time, I was like, no, this book, Blackout, is absolutely phenomenal. And it was almost like a textbook, as well as an autobiography. And I said that this book, in this video, the review I did, you can check it out here. I said, this book's going to be talked about for generations on. It's going to be the kind of book that's going to be transgeneration, and it's going to be talked about for a long time because it's so foundational and it cuts to the core of what's going on in the Black community, every single level. And it comes down to the simple fact of how to be a victim. And the segue here simply is this, is that, and she nailed it. She said, it sustains them. She said that the victimhood sustains them, that they are trading something negative for something that's comforting. That's my own words. Also, I'm going to interject my own words here by thinking of this as a Faustian deal, right? This is a deal where you're getting in bed with the enemy for a little bit of short-term gain. And that's it. That's their little God, okay? This victimhood is like the little God. Because they are able to be a victim, it gives them the ability to have a chip on their shoulder. They can say, well, I can do whatever I want. It gives them the excuse to not succeed. It gives them cover. It gives them all kinds of stuff they can do. But at the same time, the bad part of it is it gives them a false sense of superiority. It gives them a false sense of elitism. And so what ends up happening is you combine that, which I get into a little bit later on my third segment, you combine that with cops who you're afraid of because cops are evil, and especially white people who are especially evil, especially in the country of America, is exceptionally evil from the very beginning, per 1618 Project and this race theory, whatever they're calling it. All of that combines together, not to mention the non-contiguous, generational gap you have between mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, so forth. You lose that perspective, like I said before. The generation of today have no idea what went on in Mobile, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. None of that. Have no idea about that. And so, or have the wrong perspective of it. Because the people in the civil rights movement would not be down with this. They would not be down with this. You're not tearing down statues of abolitionists. It's ridiculous. So my point there is you combine all of that together, then you have danger, right? You have a situation that happens where a guy gets shot, okay? I was speaking with a police officer today at lunch, a former cop. And I said, you know what? You're trained as a police officer to read people, to look at stuff, look at feet, look at arms, look at shakiness, look at nervousness, look at looking around. What if a person just got off from church, a pickup basketball game? This guy never got in trouble in his life. Never got in trouble in his life. Straight A student, always nice to his parents, never did anything wrong. But he believes this nonsense about cops. At 12 o'clock at night, they put on their army gear, paint, whatever. Let's try and get us some black folk. We're going to kill some black folk tonight. That's what we do. If they believe that narrative that the CNN and MSNBC, all these New York Times, Washington Post, all these people put out there, if they believe that in his mind, no matter how good a person he is, how's he going to act when a cop pulls him over at 10 o'clock at night on a dark road, on a shortcut back to his house? He's going to be scared. And if he's shaking on his arms, whatever, and he doesn't show his hands, whatever, he reaches for his gym bag and pulls the wrong thing out, what happens? That's what I'm talking about. And that's a dangerous situation. And next thing you know, it's going to be a big rally going on to march this person. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be that way. If the cop perform poorly, then yes, but every case is different. But the point I'm trying to say is we're creating scenarios, unhealthy scenarios, where we're putting people in the same area with false belief systems, operating on false pretenses, with false narratives and false realities, and a built-in elitism. All of a sudden, it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. So, all right. See any questions here before I go on here. Let me see. Yeah. I think I got out of my thing here. Let me get back into this. I messed up. Let me get back. So I'll do it over here. Doesn't matter. So Jimmy says, I know I had privilege. Yeah, I guess you do. I think someone is selling white privilege cards. I'm not sure who that is. I might get me one. Let me see. Yep. 1619 Project, Kirsten Crew, and the same broke brother, Mark. I'm just going through some of these comments. Yeah, I totally agree. If I was 12 years old, I'd ask, why does CNN and MSNBC want me to hate you? Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So now I'm going to bring up another question. I'm going to cue that up here. I'm trying to do the same way I did before. Just give me a second here. This is question number 2. So let's do this. Let's share this to open it with. Okay, looks fine. All right, bam. And share the screen and go to share screen and application window and is that the right one? We'll see. Nope, wrong one. Is it the wrong one? Yes, wrong one. Let me try again. Share screen again. Sorry, guys. Application window. I should close that one. Okay, this is it. All right, so this was from a gentleman by the name of Brian Donato. And by the way, these people all gave me permission to share this. Even though these posts are public, you can go see them right now. I just, as a common courtesy, to make sure I have permission to do this. This is also on Cardi B, because she was a very popular video. He says here, thought-provoking battle between them, her and Candace. I encourage people who side with Cardi B to check out the last video on my channel. You can check him out, where I called out Cardi B and walk you through the logic of how she's pretty much being a sellout and taking advantage of youth, vulnerable, plus kids that don't have other positive influences in their life to drown out voices like her. I put up the vid before the Grammys, actually, but even more relevant right now. Hope we all reflect hard on how we influence others, because it really matters. It really does. And, you know, that to me, again, that's a comment that I had to put up there, because I was in a discussion today in Facebook. I'm always getting some kind of argument on Facebook. I don't know. For some reason, people always want to debate me for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, this was not on topic. This is more about abortion or whatever. But they're basically talking about a gentleman who had a black man, a picture, which, by the way, could be photoshopped, but even if it wasn't, I don't see a big deal by it. He has a Confederate flag. He's a Police Lives Matter shirt. I guess at a parade somewhere. And so these people are mocking him, calling him Uncle Ruckus, which is a euphemism for Uncle Tom. It's from the show Boondocks, calling him all kinds of names in this chat. And so I made a comment about Planned Parenthood and about how at that point in time, this was 2 days ago, I have an abortion encounter. And at that point in time, 42,000 black babies have been killed up to, I think as of Wednesday. So right now it's probably 43,000 now. And I said, so what do you think about the fact that this many Black people have been, because this is about Black people, whatever the context, so I kept it in that same framework. What do you think about this? And if you think about it, an additional 20 million have been killed overall since 1973, Roe v. Wade. Who is really the sellout if you guys aren't talking about this, if you guys don't care about this? Because they were mocking me for even making that comment. So I said, okay, so right now you're mocking me because you're mocking this guy on the street corner who has a Confederate flag and whatever, and he's a Black man. And then you're going to not talk about something even more important where people actually are being killed and the communities being destroyed. And yet that's a big ha ha he he. And then I said, who really is the sellout? And then from that point on, I got Twitter crickets. And here's the thing. It goes back to what I said before. When I was coming up in the 90s, where I was, this Black activist, whatever, we were very much conflicted. Now, I was always a Christian, but the Christians part of me in the Bible, which I believe 100%, did not mesh with what I saw in reality, with what I saw and what they were teaching. And this secular humanism didn't match. Not only that, the principles of hard work and determination effort, which is clearly a biblical principle, was not being really pushed forth in a lot of these things I was seeing. So I was like, well, that was in conflict. So essentially, these people who they mock this guy on this corner with this flag, they're having internal strife going on because they don't know how to reconcile it, because they don't have a worldview where they can take that and bring it together where it makes sense into some sort of framework where they can actually say, wow, that does make sense, because they don't have that. They're always, fighting against themselves, fighting against their inner being that tells them the common sense that's telling them this is stupid. But at the same time, because they're Republican, they can't be that way. It's really a hard place to be. And it's really, really sad. And when the walk away movement came out, you could see so many testimonies from the same thing, hundreds of them, where people would say, and it's just not just Black people, it's just, whatever, just coming out of that mentality, how they felt free, how they can see, okay, I feel like a better person now. I feel like I can move on with my life, because it's so, I don't know, it's just life-changing. And that's why some people just go radical the other way. They become like, this militant Black person on the side, and then become like Malcolm X on the other side, total opposite, not Malcolm X, but like a Brandon Tatum or Candace Owens. A lot of Black conservatives you see out there, and they go hard now because they spent most of their lives being lied to, and they're, I won't say, I'm not trying to use profanity, but pissed off. All right, that's what I was gonna say, and that's not so bad. And so that's what you see. And that's what he was talking about here. So, and Cardi B, that she really is the sellout. And I think I had a video with her again talking about that, and based on a reaction to what Candace Owens said. Candace Owens said, she said, look, Cardi B, when she goes to bed at night and lays her head down on the pillow, and she, there's no crowds, there's no maids, no servants, there's no TikTok going, there's no Instagram going, there's no anywhere. It's just her in the pillow, and it's still the night. Candace Owens said, and I agree, she's in a bad place. She understands that this ain't right. This ain't right. It's not right. And so you got to feel bad for them in some ways, but in some ways you got to take responsibility for the damage that you're causing, especially when you're being called out on it, and you still don't have the intellect to see it, simply because it sustains them. The victimization sustains them, and it's something that gives them power. I'll say one more thing. I used to say this a lot. I said, if you're offended, if you're two people, and one person is offended, who has the power in that particular situation? The person who's offended, if the other person allows them to be offended. If I walk up to someone and say, hey, I can't stand your white shirt, it's terrible. And the person says, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I'm going to go to Target. I'm going to go where I'm going to buy me a new shirt. Here's my wallet. Take my wallet. Here's my credit card. Whatever I can do. Please don't be mad at me. Who has the power there? Right? But what if he says this? Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Whatever. See you, man. Who has the power then? And that's what we have to do. We have to recognize that these narratives are false. So put out as much information as possible. If you're not shadow banned, if you're not blocked, if you're not, demonetized, if you're not this, that's a whole nother story. I can get into that. But I think you understand where I'm going with that. All right. So let's see your questions here. I'm going to pull some stuff here. Let's see. Yes, exactly. I agree, Mark. This is so, yes. I'm going to just put these up on the screen. You guys can see them for yourselves. 100% agree there. Cognitive dissonance, it's a painful thing, man. It's a painful thing. Okay. These comments. You guys are awesome. And I didn't even know who Cardi B really was. I mean, I'm just old, man. I know I was young. I was like, I want to be like my parents, listening to Miles Davis and, Charlie Parker and Spiral Gyra and Johnny Mathis. And, my dad loved Neil Diamond. We love, Kenny Rogers, whatever. My dad, he does this old folky stuff, man. But now I'm listening to stuff. If it's in the 90s or the early 2000s, I'm all over it, man. Anything in the past 20 years, I'm like, I don't know anything about it because, number one, there's so much good music back then I listened to over and over and over again, and I don't explore music or anything like that. So I'm kind of out of touch. So Cardi B, I don't know who she is, but times are changing, man. And it's just, I just can't see how music is going to be in their 20 years. If we're at Cardi B right now at the Grammys, where they're on stage doing what they did, where are we going to be in 10 years from now? Where's still to go from there? So anyway. Yes, exactly right, Jimmy. Yes, it does sell. And we're going to get into that when we get into the BLM. In fact, that's a good segue. That is a good segue. Yes. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. You know what, dude? That's a good cut, man. If they didn't have copyright issues, I'll be playing that song right now. In fact, when this is over, I'm playing that song right after I finish. Motown, man, is awesome, dude. I love Motown. I really do. Especially Marvin Gaye, DC, I can go on about that, but anyway. So yeah, so the segue to the next segment is going to be dealing with the BLM. I don't have any more video. Well, actually, I do have a video. And this video is going to be from me. This is a video that I did just today, actually. It's a small clip of it. And it's going to segue into what I want to talk about. And see if I can pull it up here. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Share video. I'm talking out loud for you guys that came late. I'm talking out loud because if I do that, I'm not going to mess up. So share video, go to my thug culture video. That's it. Cue it up. And so this is actually a short of what I did earlier today. It's about a minute long, I think.
Advantage or racism, it's inequality. Okay. It says if you control for deprivation, people of different races ought to be similarly predisposed to commit crime. Or that's the theory at least. But then they went in and did that and found that white communities in the same area, same kind of demographics and everything else, were not committing crimes at nearly the rate of what blacks are. It says here, some thinkers play down the importance of poverty in favor of violent subculture theory. Violent subculture theory. What I've been saying here before, black thug culture is the toxic culture in the black community. It says here again, it says, this is the idea that some black communities, for some reason, have developed cultural values that are more tolerant of crime and violence. And there you go. They admit it here in this article. They're trying to explain it away. They say, hey, it could be racism. It could be you're poor. It could be you have inequality. It could be all this. But it also could be you just embracing a thug culture. You're embracing a violent subculture theory, whatever they're calling it here. But I'm calling that the same thing.
So I found it very fascinating because this article is from 2014. It's in the video that I just did today. And violent, I'm calling it violent thug culture, violent, whatever they call it. I keep forgetting the name, but I call it violent thug culture or just whatever. It's the notion or the willingness to adopt and take bad things and adapt them into our lives like it's good. And you saw that a lot with. I can always speak to black people. I don't want to just sound like I'm just, leaving white people out on this, but, I'm not just Jeff Foxworthy. He can talk about what he knows, but I'm talking about what I know and my experiences. So if I'm saying that's only because that's the framework that I'm dealing with, because all I know, really, I can't speak to the other. However, when black people say, yo, man, let's go to the crib. Well, the crib's for babies, okay? And it's like, that's bad. That's back in the 70s and 60s, but still bad is good. So it's like the things that are bad are good. And I don't know, it's not just black people that do that, but it's gotten so much worse now that, if you have good grades, you're denigrated. If you can speak proper English, if you can talk like this and talk and say, I'm going to speak a nice English today, and I'm not going to I'm going to enunciate all of my words, all of a sudden you're acting white, okay? And I would always get offended by that because I'm like, look, so if I have my pants down to my ankles and I slur my words, I drag my feet, and I thought, what's up, man? That's acting black? No, you're acting like an idiot. Now there are some things I will say, not naive. There are some things that are intrinsic to the black culture. Just because we play spades, we're extra. That's all well and good. And there's reasons for that. There's relational differences from that because of elements coming up. That's all good. We all have our idiosyncrasies that are our own uniqueness that we grew up together, have shared things. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about embracing things that are overtly bad and saying that if you don't do that, then you're also bad. And so that is what's happening. And we've gotten to the point now where people are, it's just destroying the culture and it's carrying over to the country. And because white America is so terrified to say anything about it, it's nothing's going to be done about it. And again, someone's got to put the brakes on this. I don't know how it's going to happen. There's got to be some kind of revolution in terms of like a social revolution in terms of awareness of that this isn't good anymore. Maybe this whole thing with Black Lives Matter with this person who did this thing with this buying these $3 million this housing spree. Maybe that's part of it. You see some infighting between victims of what they consider social injustice, only to see the group that was going to make the money for you take it to the bank all the way. Maybe that could be part of it. Maybe people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, who've been doing it for years. These race pimps, racial hustlers. They've been doing it for a long time, but this generation kind of needs to see it for themselves. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's a collective. I don't know. But I want to share this particular meme here. I'm gonna pull this guy up. I hate doing this because if I share it the other way, I'm not gonna be able to hear. You're not gonna be able to hear me. So, well, let me just do this. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. I'm just gonna. It's be easier this way. I can't talk over. I think. So this one here is from the BLM, the person who is a co-founder of BLM, and her buying all these houses. So I don't know if you can hear me. I guess you can't hear me. I guess my thing is still on. My microphone's still on. That's good. So it says, watch this BLM leader try to reconcile her Marxist beliefs with her multi-million-dollar property buying spree. This is from Dan Bongino. And in that interview with Candace Owens on Brandon Tatum's show, she talks about that. She talks about how, and this another part that I thought was pretty brilliant. She said that you really can't blame her. In some ways you gotta respect her, right? I mean, she told you up front, I am a Marxist. I do Marxist stuff. And what do Marxists do? They exploit the people who don't know any better, and then they keep it for themselves to enrich themselves. Been doing it for years. Look at Castro, look at Soviet Union, look China. It's always the upper class and no middle class and everyone else doing the work for everyone else. That's just how it rolls. And she's just operating on that same mode. And so, and people are saying that for now and like, dude, that ain't cool. And it's getting a lot of pushback, and I hope it sticks, but it probably won't because the media is still not going to call her out on it. And that's part of the biggest problem. So what I think we ultimately need is groups like the Daily Wire, regardless of who you think about Ben Shapiro or whatever, any kind of alternative medium. I think we have Lindell's doing his thing with the mystore.com. He's got this social media network coming out in a few weeks. So the more we have of that, the more platforms we have on that can't be taken off. Hopefully they're on a backbone that's outside of the control of the big five internet providers like Amazon and AT&T, so forth. Get maybe off an international network where it can't be taken off. That way we can have something that's not going to be censorable. Because ultimately you got to get the information out there at some point. Otherwise the masses will become ignorant and they won't learn anything. And again, in that video, she mentions the fact that they want to keep people like children. This is Candace Owens. She said They want to keep people like children so they can keep doing children and childish stuff. And because they can make more money that way. So in that regard, I'm going to bring this up here. This is Tim Pool. He said this today, maybe not today, but he said, this is involving riots and so forth. He says, when poor people, let me read it right here. When poor people riot and burn down cities, it doesn't affect the ultra rich at all. In fact, they can come in and buy up these destroyed cities for pennies on the dollar. Riots literally help the rich seize wealth from poor people. That was also a new thought for me. I had never heard that, but it makes perfect sense. You know, it's funny because they want to say if you move in, then it's gentrification. If you don't move out, you're being what's the thing? You're being racist because you don't want to be around Black people. And so, you know, it's a double-edged sword. You really can't do anything because, again, this race theory nonsense basically says that you are inherently racist. You are inherently evil. That gives them cover to do whatever they want. Because they reinvent history, they reinvent logic, then they use it as cover to do whatever they want because they know their ideas suck. They know that. That's why Rush Limbaugh was able to just destroy them back in the 90s. Destroy them because their logic just did not work. And the Babylon Bee and satire or whatever, it just opens it's up to them, so they just can't deal with it. So they have to kind of go back and reinvent things and say, well, you were always racist, whatever. And that's why I did a video on why America is great, to combat that. Because I think there was a thing with T.I. and Candace Owens again, where he asked her a question, when was America ever great? So I did a video on that to show, well, America was always great. You know, anytime you have a country that came out of nowhere, that gave people from nowhere the ability to be somewhere, not based on your bloodline, but based on your hard work and your effort. That to me, and by the way, those particular rights that you have don't come from anyone else. It comes from a higher power who can't be messed with. You can't mess with God. You can't tell God, okay, hey God, take Jimmy's rights from him because I don't like the way he cut his grass today. No, it's not happening. God is God. You have your rights, and that's it. And so because God gives us our rights, they're inalienable, and it cannot be taken from us. That is why America has always been great, and it's reflected on our money, liberty, on the quarter, it pluribus unum, out of one many, I probably said that wrong, melting pot and so forth, and then the last one, in God we trust. Those three things on our own money tell us why America was great and deals with the foundation of our country, with God giving us our rights, melting pot, and also the fact that we have liberty, meaning we can do whatever we want as long as we don't mess with someone else. So, yeah. What else we got here? I got something here that's off subject. This here is dealing with the coof. I'm not going to say the word. I'll be demonetized. I'm going to put a link to this particular Twitter feed here. Check it out. It is about masks. It's really, really good. I'll leave it there. I won't put more on that because I don't want to be demonetized. But I did want to at least point that out here. So what am I missing here? I got the third question I'll deal with here. And I think that would be all, plus any comments we have. Oh, let me bring up this thing here by Heather Vega. She is a Facebook and Twitter and Telegram personality, a good friend of mine. She's also a partner on our channel. And she put this up on Facebook today. She said the third installment of Project Veritas, this was yesterday, the third installment of the Project Veritas, I can't talk, guys. The third installment of the Project Veritas CNN leaked tapes dropped today. We learned that it was Black men that have been attacking all the Asians across the country, and CNN knew about it. Yeah, I'm gonna do another video on CNN, but you know, that whole thing, again, it's just false narratives, man. How many people have been hurt and injured by these false narratives? It's like when you don't identify what the truth of something is, you can never get to the bottom of it, which is why President Trump said that when he was campaigning in 2016, he said, look, if we don't have the courage to say what's wrong, we're never going to get to the solution. And I think we all found out in no uncertain terms that the solution is that's a non-starter in Congress. They don't want a solution. They want talking points. They want show votes. They want to go back to their constituency to say, hey, we tried, we did this vote, reelect me. That's all it is. It's a game. So, but Trump was like, you know what? No, we're going to fix this. Here's the problem. Let's go for it. That's why he got so much pushback. And this thing with this Veritas, him being, Veritas actually got banned permanently from Twitter. And I think they're going to sue them for defamation, which is great. You know, I think they're going to be billionaires by the time this is all over. By the time they finish suing Facebook and Google and Amazon and Twitter and MSNBC and CNN and the Wall Street Journal. I'm sorry, the New York Times. You know, it's going to be. We just have to fight back, you know, and we can all do it in our own subtle ways, our own small ways, but collectively, I think we can make a difference. And I think this generation just got to find out. And I think what's going to have to end up happening is that this Biden administration is just going to have to show them how bad it really can be. And right now, with this whole thing with the court stacking, I think now they're saying, right now, we told them before that that's what's going to happen. And when he said, well, I'm not going to give you my position on it until after I get into office, people are like, well, whatever, he won't do it. And that's what they're trying to do now. And it's a total power grab. It's so obvious. And the moderates, if there are any left in the Democrat Party, are infuriated about this. And we'll just see what happens out of that. I think the big thing still is going to be voter integrity. I think the fact that Trump was able to get, and I have to say Mitch McConnell, even though he's not on my Christmas card list anymore, he and Trump were really able to put a lot of justices and judges on these benches, on the appellate court and the district courts. And so that's going to help us out a lot. It's already helped us out already. So I'm digressing a little bit, but that was the last thing. Oh, one more question, and I think that's all I have. And since I can do this now without putting it on the screen, I'm just going to put this on the screen here. Hopefully it'll still work. All right, I'm just going to read this. See if we can read this. Okay. This is from El Champo Custom Dioramas. He says, it's very appalling that Colorado, I guess this is regarding the voter ID laws, requires voter ID and signature verification too, and has less days of early voting as well. This is dealing with the Georgia thing, by the way, with Georgia, where they basically said that you know, people boycotting Georgia because of this voter ID, even though the laws in Colorado are the same. So the Major League Baseball moved their game from Atlanta, Georgia to Denver with less white people, with more white people and everything else, and even more stringent voting laws. Anyway, let me continue here. As well as I can't read this, guys, I'm sorry. Retrospect of the more established by the Major League Baseball was more or less to take away millions of dollars in revenue to the Atlanta, Georgia community, once again proving that the Democrats always dupe the Black community. Where is the outcry? Where is BLM? BLM is probably the Cayman Islands, you know, chilling now on vacation. Shouldn't this be something they should be peacefully protesting for? Well, I don't want BLM peacefully protesting for anything because their peaceful protesting isn't very peaceful. But I know what you were saying that you're trying to be funny. Yeah, so another example of a lie. I mean, the whole Georgia thing, oh my gosh, this is going to really make me upset because I've really forgotten about this. But yeah, this really infuriated me because the Georgia deal, you have, you know, Atlanta, Georgia is like the hotbed of the civil rights movement. Other than like Selma or Mobile or Montgomery, you know, but Atlanta is where King grew up. That's where he's buried, and that's where his church was, Ebenezer. And so it's like a 51% Black community. It's got 33% Black ownership for businesses. And all that was taken from them when they moved the game for a voter law, which was basically allowing Black votes to count more. Because when you say when you vote with voter ID, you're guaranteeing that my vote counts. So that means that someone who is across the street or across town mailing in ballots, running them off on a copy machine and filling them out means my vote is no longer diluted. And that's the thing. So you're protecting Black votes. You're not restricting Black votes, especially when you have over 90% of people in Georgia who are Black have IDs. And And not to mention 73% of Black Americans who are voters support voter ID. So the narrative is just total bogus. And then you have Coca-Cola pulling out, which, by the way, they said today that they're going to now backtrack on that because I think they're catching some hell there. I don't know for sure what their numbers are, but I'm seeing commercials on Coke, which I never see commercials on for the byproducts of stuff like the cherry, vanilla Coke, whatever. I'm like, where's this coming from? They're definitely in a sort of, I guess, campaign mode to try and reverse the image they have now. And so they're trying to backtrack on that, I think, all because of this stupid little lie they have here. And it's going to cost and hurt Black people more than it will hurt white people. And it's going to move it to an area in Denver, Colorado, which, by the way, has a huge Black Lives Matter chapter. So whatever that's worth. All right, let me go to some of these comments here and we can wrap this thing up. We've been going on for about an hour. Okay, cool. Okay. Trying to get to the very beginning here. I'm going to fly through some of these pretty quickly, guys. So this one here is about it will end the country when majority Hispanics will. It will end when the country is majority Hispanic, which is soon. I know that would be fine by me. I think I love the Hispanic community. They're great. They love America, especially the ones who come here the right way. I just want people to love America. I don't care what you look like. I want you to love this country, and I don't care what you look like. So the question, Al Sharpton is a race grifter. Absolutely. See, Jimmy here says that as a white man, I'm afraid to speak out against this evil. Can you please give me some advice? That's a really good thing. I would do really. It depends on the context, okay? Because they're going to call you a racist no matter what. But I think if you phrase things in a loving manner, they'll just get mad. They won't have any basis to go on. I think that would be the number one thing. You can also go through a surrogate if it's a political thing. If you're at a function, we can do that. Have a surrogate speak for you. Get the issue out. Maybe leak something out there that way. It may seem cowardly, but it can be very effective. Let me see. Mark here says, I'm so tired of skin color, seeing enough money and blood on the sidewalk to know. Yeah, exactly. And really what it comes down to is, it really comes down to follow the money, right? It comes down to follow the money. It's all about money and power. It's just all it's about. There's a book that came out in the 90s called Donkey Kong. It's no longer in print, but you can still probably find it. It was basically talking about the Democrat Party and how they are able to, what the makeup of them leads them to be corrupt based on who they are as people in what they're trying to do. And I think it comes down to their quest for power. I'm not saying that Republicans don't want power. It was just saying that they want it in a certain way that they will compromise more things. And I think you see that a lot now, that Democrats really just want power and they want that money, they want that influence. And a lot of that comes from the fact that they feel that they're elitists. They feel like they're above everyone else because they're whatever reason, whether they're more evolved or whatever they think they are, they're in a better class system, or different party, whatever. And it's you see that a lot in subtle ways. There's a video that came out a couple years ago where they go on the street, a man on the street says, hey, we think about Black people getting voter ID. Should they do it? Can they do it? And this is in New York. And they were like, well, yeah, Black people, they don't have cars to get there. They don't have the ability to get on the internet, this and that. And it's almost like a very patronizing type of attitude. And I'm not saying they're all Republican. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that they're all Democrat, but it was New York, so they're probably a majority Democrat. But that liberal mentality kind of lends to that. So I think that's part of it. And of course, that ultimately ends to wanting that power and that money, keeping that power and that money. And to do that, you have to have more people that are that can buy into what you stand for. Because when your ideas suck, what do? You have to suppress. You have to cheat. You have to do whatever you can do to look over there. Distract so that they can't see what's going on. Oh, by the way, he's racist, whatever, every 4 years, so they can ignore the issues and go to what's emotional. And that's what they do. It's so, the playbook on the left is so predictable, and it's so embarrassing that it works every single time. Let me come down some more of these questions here. Yep. See you, Mark. Thank you, guys. Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay. I think that's going to be all the questions we have. So with that, all right, about a minute and 10 minutes going on. 1 minute, 10 minutes going on. If I rambled some, I apologize. I have a lot going on here. Got computer here, phone here. No excuse. I know. I did the best I could. I think it came out pretty well. And if you guys like what I do here, please share with your friends. Then tell them about this channel, what we're trying to do. And yeah, that's all I ask, really. Everything above that is gravy. I appreciate your prayers and anything else you can do for us would be awesome if you can. So what's coming up next? I'll probably do a video tomorrow. I may do a car video on one of these topics because, like a gentleman said here, there's so much stuff to talk about. They can go on forever. That I just don't know really where to start. So as the urge hits, I'll do that, and be on the lookout for that. And if you're a member of this channel, I'm going to do a quick video right now to the members of this channel to see that. And basically in those videos, I'm really low key. I turn the green screen off. I'm in my pajamas. I'm just talk to my family. It's like I'm here for real. So it's really, really totally informal, and I just talk freely. And I basically talk about the channel, what we're trying to do, our goals, what things are happening, what videos we're looking at doing, who can come on to help, looking for choreographers, looking for people who can do editing, that kind of stuff, business type stuff. It's just really, if people who really want to plug in, that's who it's for. So, but everything else is going to be the same for those who aren't members. It's just the same content's going to be there. It's just a little bit extra for those who want to know more. All right. So with that, thank you so much, everyone, for coming on. This is the live Friday night show, and hopefully, Kira will be back next week. I'll see if she can do it. If not, I may pull my wife in here. Maybe she'll do it, or maybe 3 or 4 people at the same time. Don't know yet. So I'm looking for more formats that we can do for live shows to make it more interactive. Last week was like a game show. This week was just a rant session, and so I want to be more entertaining and different. And so I'm trying to feel this way out and see where this thing's going to grow and lead. I'd love to do maybe like a trivia show, like a Jeopardy thing, real time, with maybe some call-ins, whatever. So I'm open for anything. So any suggestions you have, let me know. I'd be curious to know what you think. And with that, I will plug this up, cue up my thing here, and I will see you guys next time.